The teacher was driving when he accidentally noticed a student was running faster than his car. The teacher had an idea. When he returned to his office, he collected the results of previous year's races, and he found this student named Varese. He was in the top 10 in the state. So the teacher proposed to the principal that he wanted to start a cross-country running team to compete in this year's state championships. He found out that besides Varese, in addition to Varese, there were a couple of other students who were also fast. They had similar upbringings. They're all Mexican immigrants, all from the poorest town in America. They all woke up at 5 a.m. to help their parents with their morning picking, and then jogged to school. With a little formal training, there's a good chance that they'll be able to make it to the tournament. Wyatt was not only a great football coach, he also had experience coaching a distance running team. He was expelled from school for injuring a student. He was expelled from school. Big city schools were afraid to hire him. Wyatt was forced to bring his wife and 2 daughters to this remote town, though the town was poor. But the people were warm and welcoming. A friendly neighbor gave him a chicken as a welcome gift. The supermarket owner was also very hospitable. He offered Wyatt a sapling, but Wyatt refused the owner's offer. He didn't think he could stay here for 5 years, because he wanted to do something fast. To get back to the big city, Wyatt offered to start a cross-country running team, but the principal said no, because it's a private school sport, because it's a private, aristocratic school sport. It costs a lot of money to train and to run, and the school didn't have any money to spare. Wyatt found out that the school board had a program fund for schools to start new sports, and cross-country running was right up there. When the principal heard about the funding, he agreed to start a cross-country team. Recruiting 7 members wasn't easy, because the students thought that training would interfere with their farm work, so no one wanted to join the team, but there was always a way out. Wyatt recalls a scene he saw the other day. The students were drinking water from a car wash to quench their thirst on a hot day. Wyatt took out 4 bottles of water in gym class. He used them to motivate and screen the fastest runners. The students were happy. The talent of the 4 students was on full display. Wyatt took the opportunity to make a promise to them, that if they agreed to join the cross-country running team, that they would not only get a drink, and if they did well, they'd get a scholarship, and even a chance to go to college. Wyatt quickly recruited 4 members of the team, and then they introduced 2 more to the cross-country team, and the last spot, Wyatt reserved for Varese, but Varese was reluctant to join. One day, Wyatt saw Varese fighting with a classmate.
And so did Thomas Velez.
Wyatt, in cooperation with the principal, Varese joined the cross-country team, but only if he was exempt from the fighting penalty. And so, the 7-man team was finally formed. When training began, Danny was ridiculed by the team because of his obesity. They wanted the coach to recruit someone else, but Wyatt said that although Danny was fat, he was a potential player. He'd be able to help the team in a pinch. Wyatt went on to say that if you want to change your destiny, he had to train hard. And from then on, there's been a strange sight in this town ever since. Wyatt, with a few Mexican students, running through the streets of McFarland every day. Wyatt was too old to keep up with his team. He would sit in front of the supermarket and rest. The owner showed his hospitality and handed Wyatt a cold soda. After the run, the team returned to the car wash next to the supermarket. Then they used the tap water to cool off and quench their thirst. Wyatt saw the worn-out shoes of the team. Wyatt's heart went out to the students. It wasn't long before they had their first game. Wyatt spent money on new uniforms and running shoes for the team. He hoped to help them run well. Before the start of the race, runners from the other 3 private high schools were taunting McFarland's team. In the face of these discordant voices, the team chose to keep their anger inside. They were determined to prove McFarland's strength on the field. When the starting gun went off, the runners sprinted out of the starting line. Wyatt stood on the sidelines in a mixture of anticipation and nervousness. At the start of the race, the runners were running at their own pace. Varese is strong. He's in 4th place. The rest of the team is in the back of the pack. As Varese starts to make his move, the other runners are blocking his path. Varese breaks out of the way and fights his way through. He's quickly catching up to the top spot, but the uphill climb ahead, he's slowing down. He can only watch as his rivals pass him. McFarland's flat terrain. There was no training for the uphill stretch. Wyatt was slow to see his team at the finish line. He didn't see Varese until the first group crossed the finish line, despite Varese's best efforts, but it didn't go his way, and the rest of McFarland's team didn't run as well as they would have liked. Their first race was a crushing defeat, and once again, they were laughed at. The next day, Wyatt took the team to a place full of mounds for a simulated cross-country hill run, but after just 1 lap, they were already tired and out of breath. Danny was so tired, he was almost out of it, but Wyatt told them to keep running until they weren't afraid of the hills anymore, and even to laugh at the hills. The team had to do what the coach told them to do, repeatedly over these hills, and they ran like candles in the wind, like candles flickering in the wind, though tired and almost extinguished, but they still burned on. Every step the team took is a challenge to their own limits. adults. They are also fighting against their own destiny. When Wyatt got home, he remembered it was his daughter's birthday. The worst part is that he even forgot to prepare a birthday cake. Wyatt didn't know how to face his daughter. He could only make up for the late arrival by saying happy birthday. To make up for the late arrival of his father's love, Wyatt's daughter came into the bedroom in a rage. Wyatt tried to apologize, but no matter how much he shouted at the door, his wife's words left Wyatt speechless. This may be the difficulty of middle-aged men. It's always hard to balance career and family. Frustrated, Wyatt could only drive his car around in the middle of the night. Unexpectedly, he saw someone sitting on the flyover. When he got closer, he realized it was Varese. Varese's face was clearly bruised. Varese had something to hide, but Wyatt didn't know how to get through to him. All he could say was that he'd forgotten his daughter's birthday today. He said he was a bad father. I didn't realize that Wyatt's self-deprecation really struck a chord with Varese. It turned out that Varese had a family problem too. Today, his father came home from work and found that his sister, unmarried, was pregnant. This caused his father to lose control of his emotions. Varese tried to calm his father down and stopped him, but he was accidentally hurt. When Wyatt found out the truth, he sympathized with the boy. Wyatt then persuaded him that the bridge wasn't too high. If you jumped off this bridge, you'll lose both your legs. Not only will you be unable to run, you'll be a burden to your family for the rest of your life. Wyatt pulled Varese off the bridge and brought him back from the brink of collapse. Varese nodded, and that gave Wyatt his confidence back. Wyatt got on a little pink bike. The team trained day in and day out, with a relaxing atmosphere, bathing in the warmth of the sun through the shade of the trees, chasing the dream of making a difference. The team is getting better and better. Soon after, a school match will take place. The match has just begun. The opponents showed a lot of strength. They quickly took the lead. They quickly took over the lead and surrounded McFarland's strongest player, Varese. Varese, McFarland's best player. But Varese was in no hurry, this time on his home turf. His face was relaxed and confident. When 15 minutes had passed, the runners appeared in the schoolyard. Varese had moved into second place. With a reminder from Wyatt, Varese began to pick up the pace. The gap between the two has narrowed further. The rivals see Varese catching up. He's accelerating to try and keep the lead. But Varese's speed and stamina, he's been able to overtake his rival, and he's in first place. And third and fourth place went to McFarland. Even the worst of the worst, Danny, the weakest of the bunch, was able to make a late run. He crossed the finish line side by side with his rival. This is the first victory of the race, as the sun set over the playground, putting a golden halo on this young team, and a glimpse of hope for the future. And since then, Wyatt has taken them on a long journey, and continued to improve their performance. A star power to be reckoned with. McFarland's name was in the papers. The language teacher was so excited, he approached Wyatt, and read him an essay written by one of his teammates.
We fly like blackbirds through the orange groves, floating on a warm wind. When we run, we own the earth. The land is ours. We speak the birds' language. Not immigrants no more. Not stupid Mexicans.
The difference Wyatt had made in the children's lives, it didn't just bring tears to the language teacher's eyes. The cross-country team became the pride of the town. More and more kids began to look up to them as role models. The pride in their faces, and a sense of mission grew in their hearts. Upon arriving at the preliminary round of the championships, Wyatt received an offer from a big city school. He was worried about being seen by his teammates, so he quietly hid his card in his pocket. Before the race began, the team looked at the mountains in the distance. They were worried about repeating the same mistakes they'd made before. Wyatt encouraged them to push through the pain of the uphill climb like they did in training. And they'll win. Dozens of runners quickly began to battle it out. They knew that to advance to the state championships, they had to finish in the top 4. Now McFarland's team has a lot of promise. McFarland's team has taken a quantum leap in their ability. The ups and downs of this course, they can't be held back any longer. But in the final stages, Varese, who had been leading the pack, took an unexpected tumble. He was instantly overtaken by 3 rivals. Although Varese got up quickly and ran as hard as he could, but he finished second. Varese blames himself, but the rest of his teammates played well. But when the results were announced, the other schools were cheering. McFarland's team couldn't help but feel a sense of sadness. If they didn't come in 4th place, all the hard work they'd put in would be for nothing. And when the final standings were announced, all the anxiety was gone. God has a way of rewarding those who give it their all. On the way back, Wyatt wanted to take the team to the beach to relax, but he was stopped by a toll collector. Seeing the children's eager eyes, the toll collector couldn't deny the innocence of the children. After getting out of the car, the children's smiles blossomed on their faces. One by one, the children rushed happily to the sea. In the sea to wash away the sand and dust, as if washing away a past of poverty. In the small town of McFarland, the news that they'd made it to the state championships, the villagers knew about it. The villagers contributed to the celebration of Wyatt's 15-year-old daughter, to make up a big bar mitzvah for Wyatt's 15-year-old daughter. According to local tradition, a caravan was to take Wyatt's daughter on a tour of the town. But accidents can be a bit of a shock. A white car got in front of them. Wyatt was preparing a dinner party at home when he got the call. The couple rushed to the scene of the accident. Their daughter's legs were covered in bruises. The incident made Wyatt decide to get his family out of there as soon as possible. So Wyatt went to the school on his business card and interviewed for the job. When they got home, Wyatt told his wife, "There's more than just a state-of-the-art facility. There's a better job and a better paycheck." He would report there after the state championships. When his daughter heard this in her room, she told Varese right away.
Everyone's always gonna go for the better everything.
Wyatt was torn. After all, when he was at a low point in his life, the people here gave them enough warmth so that his wife already felt at home.
They pushed her out of the way. They protected her like she was their family.
His wife's words left Wyatt in deep thought. Before you know it, it's the day of the state championships. The townspeople came out to see the cross-country team off. As the school buses departed, the villagers began to leave. The owner of the town's supermarket closed his doors. For the first time in 25 years, he just wanted to go to the finals to cheer for the children of the town.
You kids do it every day. And your parents hope they can do it every day. And they'll do it for a lifetime if it means a better life for you. You guys are superhuman. What you endure just to be here, to get a shot at this, the kind of privilege that someone like me takes for granted. There's nothing you can't do with that kind of strength, with that kind of heart. You kids have the biggest hearts I've ever seen.
These words ignited the team's spirit. Then their loud chants infected the residents of the town. In the midst of the applause, the team stepped onto the final track, and then the race began. One of McFarland's team members was too nervous and started running as fast as he could. Despite White's warnings to slow down, he's quickly running out of steam. He's just letting his rivals pass him. Danny saw that his teammates were not doing well, so he picked up the pace. It's a moment when he decides he's not going to hold them back. Varese is neck and neck with one of his rivals, and it's not going to be a surprise. It's going to be a two-way race for first place. After a lumbering road, Varese is coming out on top. Inside this tunnel, he turns his head and looks into the darkness behind him, and then continues on his way to the light. Seeing Varese first in sight, the townspeople are cheering him on. But a sudden surge of power from his opponent, Varese was taken by surprise. With the finish line so close at hand, he's exhausted. He pushes forward with every ounce of will he has, and Varese lived up to the hype. Varese takes first place. The other three members of the team are also arriving at the finish line. A familiar figure gave us all hope. Danny, in the form of a cheetah, kept overtaking his rivals. Danny has unleashed his full potential. His comeback made up for his teammates' mistakes.
Hey, where'd you come from, Diaz? Huh? Where'd you come from? From McFarland, coach.
After the race, an exciting moment is about to unfold. In the midst of the anticipation, the referee stands in front of the microphone. The townspeople are in an uproar. The team hugged each other tightly, but Wyatt had mixed feelings. He met the team that had asked him to join them. After a brief conversation, he walked back with a smile on his face, in front of an expectant crowd, that he was staying at McFarland. This is a true story. Under Wyatt's leadership. Under Wyatt, McFarland High won 9 weekly championships, and it only took 14 years for cross-country running to become the town's favorite sport. And it became a way for all the kids to change their lives. Because the original team of 7, everyone went on to college. Some became teachers, some became journalists, some became police officers. They were all role models for Wyatt. There's no such thing as a wasted journey. There's no such thing as suffering in vain. Take a bold and determined step and keep on running. You'll be rewarded in the end.